spaghetti brain. So if you're wondering what spaghetti brain is, it is when you have all of your thoughts racing and one thing connects to another thing and another thing connects to another thing and another thing connects to another thing. So instead of like having like these very organized connections, you just got a lot of this moving around in your brain. And I call that spaghetti brain. Because if I were to draw a map of the way your mind works, it would just be a lot of these connections all over the place, all over the place, all over the place. I call that spaghetti brain. And many trauma survivors have this spaghetti brain type way of thinking. And even those who may not necessarily be trauma survivors, those who describe their symptoms of ADHD would say it's the same thing. I have thoughts racing all the time. It's a lot of things going on in my head. And as a result of having the constant thoughts racing and everything going on all at the same time, it affects the way that they communicate as well. It affects the way they think. It affects the way they act in their daily life. And so they're very distractible. They have difficulty concentrating on one thing or another. They may favor trying to multitask, or in conversation, they may find themselves oversharing. They may find themselves over explaining, or they may find themselves just talking a lot. Have you ever met a person who talks too much by your standards, and then you feel like you don't want to get in a conversation with them? And so when you see them in a social context, you're kind of like, oh man, I don't want to be mean, but I don't want to get caught in a conversation with that person. Right. So then you like start trying to like get around them, or you try to say one thing, and then sure enough, they do exactly what you knew they were going to do. They start blah, talking, talk. And why do they talk so much? When they're a nice person and they mean well. Why do they talk so much? Or why could you be that person who may talk too much at times? Well, it's because you have what I'm calling like the spaghetti brain, where it's all these connections that are happening inside your head. And so as soon as you start talking about one thing, one particular thing or another, it's very easy for you to connect to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, right? And this is how you communicate. So the person says, "Hey, how you doing today? Good to see you." And you're like, "Hey, it's really good to see you. It's really nice outside." And that's all you need. Nice outside weather. We had recent hurricanes, there's flooding, there was floods in Noah's day. Noah, that reminds me of Noah's Ark. It's a theme park. Now I'm talking about Great America. Hey, did you hear about the election? Hey, now we can talk about electives in college. Hey, the tuition prices are crazy. Tuition, hey, now I can talk about money because finances are an incredible. And next thing you know, what did that have to do with, hey, it's a nice day outside? So what happens is it takes you about 30 seconds to tell a story about each one of those things. So you don't think you're talking too much, but you are. Because when you're connecting and you're jumping all on your own from one subject to the next subject to the next subject, you're losing the person that you're speaking to. This is not a effective way of communicating, but yet we're doing it. Why? Sometimes it's just anxiety. We hate the idea of there being a silence. And we're like, I can't leave a silence. A silence would be so rude. It would be so awkward. And we don't want to just put anyone or ourselves in the awkward situation of having to hear silence. And so we feel like we need to just spill into that silence, right? And then we might share a little bit more than we wanted to, which is then oversharing. Now later we're can't even sleep at night because we're thinking about all those things we said and what does this person must think about us because I said all these weird things. Oh my God, that was so weird. Right? Does that sound familiar? Or it could be fawn response. Part of your people pleasing tendency is to try to make the other person feel comfortable, or you're worried about what they're thinking of you. So you're trying to say this thing and say this thing, right? Especially if they ask you a question and you're not sure how to answer the question. So you just start throwing in information and here's a piece of information. So they say, "Hey, where you been?" And you're just blah, like, "Well, I was thinking about going to the supermarket, but then I decided I couldn't go there because I needed to buy some nail polish, and you can only get that from CVS, but CVS isn't open as much as Walgreens, and Walgreens is not good as Sephora, and Sephora is better than I don't know what you need me to tell you. What do I need to say to stay safe?" So you're equating them asking you a question with being in a life or death situation. And so you think that your job is to quickly say the words that are going to protect you and keep you safe, make you feel secure. But now we're going to get some time to actually examine this. Does it actually keep us safe to talk a lot and to go on and on? Does it actually keep us safe to be long explainers, to over explain and to overshare? Go ahead. Now you have a moment to actually think. Just think about it. Does it really keep us safe? It does not keep us safe. When we talk a lot, we give information. And when you give too much information, you're giving too much knowledge to another person, and knowledge is power. So you're giving your power away. Talking a lot does not keep you safe. You're giving your power away. You're giving your power away. You're on a social status level, you're showing yourself to be lower status to the other person when you talk too much. If we lived in a world of all empaths, it would be fine, right? Because we would just be, oh, I know you feel. I understand. You just want to feel safe right now. It's okay. It's okay. We wouldn't feel bad about it. But the problem is we don't live in a world full of empaths. We also have narcissists and other types of abusive persons. So what are they going to do when they see you doing all this? What do you think a narcissist is doing? Mhm, mhm, mhm. Oh, she's afraid of chickens. Good to know. Good to know. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Ah. My favorite part about this moment right now is that she's showing me that she's willing to put more energy into the relationship than I have to put in the relationship. So I think I'm really going to work on this connection because as a narcissist, I love a relationship where I don't do as much work. And now that I can see how they just give everything up really easily, they just spill information, which they're giving away power. Now I know they're the type to give away power. And that's my thing. As a psychopath, as a sociopath, I am so into relationships where I can get the power very easily. She's selling it for cheap, she's giving it away for free. Spilling a lot of information does not keep us safe. It's an old childhood program. It could be from the way you were raised. Maybe you were raised that their parents started questioning you, giving you the third degree, and you needed to duck, dodge. You got to say something to appease them. And so you became an expert at doing that, using your words to appease someone to make someone feel safe. But in all of that, you're representing yourself as a way that's inauthentic, which is ironic because you're trying to show that you're honest, but you can't help but to manipulate with your words. And the more you talk, the more you will say something wrong or regrettable. It is a law of the universe. It is guaranteed. The more you speak, the more you will say something that you regret later. So how do we get over this tendency to overtalk, overshare, overexplain, and organize the spaghetti brain? And why do we need to get over it? Isn't it just the way some of us are? In fact, there's a lot of prominent speakers who have come out and said women have brains like a big ball of wire, and men have brains with little boxes. See, and when men think, they just keep everything in the box right here. And then when women think, everything is connected. So is that true? Is it just because I'm a woman and so that's why I think like that, where everything's connected? And maybe Roman just doesn't understand because he's a man and he's got a waffle for a brain. Someone said in the chat they have men have waffles as brains. Is that what it is? Is it just a male female difference? So neurologists in studying the brain see minimal differences in male and female brains. It's actually minimal differences in male and female brains. And in my work as a trauma specialist, I don't find that females have a more difficult time learning tools than males do. They are the same in their ability to learn and in their distress and when they first start. There's no difference. There's no difference. I got male clients who have all the spaghetti effect going on, and female clients the same. So I don't think that you should attribute the way you think purely to your gender. Of course, there's environmental factors in the way you were raised that may contribute, but don't ascribe it to just your chromosomes. Your brain has the ability to learn, to think, and to organize. And male or female, organization's good, isn't it? We like organization. So we want to be able to organize our thoughts as well. This is important. This is important because if if we don't know how to organize the way that we're thinking, then we don't know how to be effective communicators. We will have difficulty healing from trauma, and um, we're going to lose sight of who we are because we can't prioritize properly. Again, we're going to lose sight of who we are. We lose our identity in all of this. Someone says, "Okay, you're really smart because you're telling me a bunch of information, but who are you?" And then you're like, "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." Or, okay, you got a lot of info there, but what's most important for us to do right now today? And you're just like, I don't know, right? That's not where we want to be, is it? We don't want to be male or female. We don't want to be where we're not clear on who we are and what's most important right now. We always want to know who we are and what's most important right now. And that's what I'm going to help you with today. So I'm going to teach you how to get the thoughts organized, right? So here's my diagram. This is a non-scientific diagram of the spaghetti brain, right? You got all these connections and everything is connecting everything. So when someone says oranges, you're connecting oranges to this and to this and to this and this, and you think of everything that connects to an orange. So if this isn't how our brain is supposed to be organized, how should we organize our brain? Allow me to provide an illustration. Here is how you should organize your brain. Doesn't that feel so much better? At the top, you have your goal, not sometimes, at all times. At all times. Then, no matter where someone drops you in the stream of life, you'll find a way to connect back to your goal. Everything must be organized according to purpose. Purpose is just a fancy word for goals. So identify right now, what is your purpose? And when I say that, it sounds very daunting, but ultimately I'm just saying, what's the overall goals that you're trying to accomplish in life right now? What are the overall goals you're trying to accomplish in life? And you should be able to identify 1 to 3 big things that you are trying to accomplish, not basic survival based things like raise my children. Yeah, that's basic survival, not heal. Basic survival. Basic survival. No. I want you to set a lofty goal or two for yourself. Lofty goals are going to be things that are above and beyond survival because we are not just like the animals. We are something more than the animals because we have the ability to create, to thrive and excel, right? To innovate, right? To share and encourage each other on a level that animals are not capable of. They have their instinct, which is their program, and they keep going according to the program. That's why they're interesting to play with, right? Because you play with them, you mess with them a little bit, and you kind of see what they do, and it's interesting. They have the free will to choose, right, left or right, but they'll ultimately default to their programming, and their programming stays in the frame of what type of animal they are. Some have more basic programming, some more complex. But for us as humans, you have a base level programming that will keep you alive: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. As a part of your flight response, you have your over explaining. Let me try my best to protect myself with all of this extra talking, right? But that is not your highest self. Your highest self is the part of yourself that is like God, that is godlike, the creator in yourself, your ability to look at something that doesn't exist in your mind's eye and make it exist. Only humans can do that when it wasn't a pre programmed anything. It's just your creativity. You say, you know what? I don't just want to eat today. I want to have steak with scrambled eggs and cheesecake. And then to go into your kitchen or to the supermarket, get the ingredients, source them, cook them up, and the whole time do a video on it and post it to your social media. Only humans can can operate at this level. And by the way, we can do more than just the meal. That's the simple versions, right? We can say, I want to build a house, I want to build a stadium, I want to build a skyscraper, I want to build a football team, I want to create a knitting group, a book club, I want to start a foundation, right? So what is your goal? What are you hoping to accomplish in the next 600 days that will be worth your while? At the forefront of your mind at all times must be your goal. Now, this might sound strange to you, but you are not to do anything that doesn't bring you towards your goal. You are not to do anything. You're not to engage in anything, indulge in anything. Nothing that doesn't bring you towards your goal. That's how we organize properly. We only do things, everything has to connect back to the goal. Everything has to connect. This makes healing so much easier because now we can make decisions, which is helpful. Now we know whether we should go to CVS or Sephora because it's what is going to help me toward my goal. Not what's been most popular and who has a sale into this and they connect and the connections. No, no, no. If you have the spaghetti brain approach, right? Which most people with ADHD say they deal with this feeling, the spaghetti brain approach. This is like if Google came out with a Google Maps product and they said, our new version of Google Maps doesn't tell you how to get to where you want to go. It just tells you what street connects to the street you're on. So it just tells you the surrounding streets. So you go into this Google Map program, and the only thing it does is tell you to the north is 4th Street, to the left is 7th Avenue, to the south you have Martin Luther King Drive, and to the east you have Lakeshore. You go, yeah, but I wanted to get to Arby's. How do I get to Arby's? And all I can tell you is what connects to where you are. That's how spaghetti brain works. You're just spouting off random connections. That's not goal driven. It's not purpose driven. And so it's the lower version of how you work. We like a navigation program that tells us, okay, first you're going to turn left, then you're going to turn right, then you're going to go north on this street, and then this on this street. So that until we get to our goal, that is useful. And that's how we must organize the mind. We must organize the mind to take us to our goal. Everything must play in to the goal. Also, we need to update our understanding of the way we communicate. So, do other people want to hear us connect one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing? Do you think that's what people want to hear? Hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm doing really good, except I have to have surgery on my toe. But the thing about toes is we have 10 of them. 10, you know what's great about 10? When I was 10 years old, that was when I first discovered my love of painting. And you know what's great about painting? When I paint, I just feel like I'm really set free. Oh, and you know what's free right now at Walmart? People don't want to listen to that. People they'll run away from you. And by the way, 20% of what you're saying is interesting. We're not saying that you're not saying anything interesting, but because you haven't focused on the goal and prioritize what's important in this conversation, then you're just loose off into making random connections. So here's what you ask yourself when you face a communication opportunity to talk to a person, you must ask yourself, what do they need to know? What do they need to hear? What do they need to know? What do they need to hear? What do I have that will be of value? Everything must connect to what is beneficial. It's most important. Everything must connect to what is beneficial for yourself and for others. It doesn't matter what your goal is that you chose, because I know that the goal always will meet the criteria of being what is both beneficial for you and for others. If you just look at what's beneficial for you, that's selfish. If it's to the detriment of other people, that's selfish. If you just look for what's beneficial for others, but at the detriment of yourself, that is mental illness. Okay? We need what is beneficial for ourselves and others. That is our goal. Everything must connect to what is beneficial to both ourselves and others. So what do they need? What can I give them that is to their benefit? What gift can I impart with my words that will be to their benefit? That is a question to ask yourself when you're faced to speak to a person, when a person asks you a question. To do this, you may have to ask them questions about their question. So they say to you, hey, do you want these lights on? Instead of just saying, oh, well, I was using them, I guess, but I don't really need them anymore. But I do really want to use them later, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to need them for what I'm doing. Instead of doing all that, trying to figure out what it is they want to know, just ask yourself, what do they need to know right now? And you may realize, I don't know why they're asking me this. I don't know what they need to know. So then you can ask them the question. Why do you ask? Did you hear that, guys? Before you answer, you may need to ask a question. Why do you ask? Because then they might tell you, oh, I was just asking because it's not bothering me or anything. I just thought that maybe I was the one who left them on and I was being inconsiderate. You might ask them a question like, is it a problem if these lights are on? Is it bothering you? And they say, no, but I'm really concerned about the light bill. Won't that change the way you respond to the question? They might say, oh, well, I'm asking because I'm going to bed, but I want you to know you can keep the lights on as long as you want because I want you to be able to see what you're doing. Doesn't that change the way you're going to answer the question? Or they might say, I can't remember if I turned them on or if you turned them on, but I want you to think that I was leaving them for you to turn off, right? Doesn't that change the way you're going to answer the question? They might say, because I don't think they're bright enough. And I was thinking we should call a company in here to like brighten up the space. And I wanted to get your opinion on it. Doesn't that change the way you would answer the question? Or they might say, oh, I was just making conversation. Doesn't that change the way you would answer the question? So we have to ask questions to know how we should respond. Okay? Here's another thing that we need to understand about people we're talking to. The average attention span of an adult is only 8 seconds. 8.25 seconds. The average attention span of an adult is only 8.25 seconds. By the way, that's why I repeat things, because people aren't paying attention, just so you know. Only 30% of the people who are actually logged in right now are really actually listening right now. And of those 30%, they'll only remember 30% of what they heard today. Right? So please understand, no one is paying attention. They don't care. So stop talking so much. You're wasting your own time. You're wasting your own breath. Nobody wants to hear all of that. Tailor the way you speak to the way people actually listen. How long is the average attention span? Did anyone catch it? How long is the average attention span? For an adult, it is only 8 seconds. 8 seconds. That's a ton of time, folks. Stop going on for 35, 40, 50, 2 minutes. It's not uncommon when I work with a survivor that they can talk for 10 to 20 minutes without stopping off of one question, like, how's your week? It's not uncommon that they can go for 10 to 20 minutes without stopping, right? But the average attention span is only 8 seconds. So the way you should answer questions is in 8 second increments. Now you have time to realize this. So when you ask a question, or when someone asks you a question, you should just respond in 8 second increments. Oh, how am I doing today? Well, pretty good overall. I'm feeling good. Can't complain. How about you? That's it. That's all the time you have. There is no more time to talk because they're gone. They're gone. They're gone. If you start a story, they're gone. Hey, what happened to you the other day? You got 8 seconds to answer that question. More than that, they're gone. Oh, you know what actually happened? I ended up seeing my husband and we ended up deciding to go home. Bam. Not, oh, it's the funniest thing. So I ran into Charles and Charles was looking at me. I'm looking at him. And we didn't even recognize each other because look, they don't have that type of time. When you answer in short increments, then it allows the other person to ask if they want more information. Oh, I saw my husband. That was so weird. It totally threw me off. And then they say, wait, your husband was there? Indicating I'm interested in more, which then allows you to start to take time and lean more into a story because they're indicating interest. But never assume that people are interested. Always assume that they've only got 8 seconds for you. Always assume that they've only got 8 seconds for you. Because that's how long the average attention span is. Just 8 seconds. That's all. So here's a tool we can use. CBS. Remember CBS? CBS, like the broadcasting station. CBS, like the channel. It stands for clear, brief, and simple. That's what we're going for. You want to be clear, brief, and simple. Clear, brief, simple. 8 second responses. That's how you answer a question. That's how you give information. Walk in the door. Hey, babe. Hey, how's it going? Bam. Be clear, be brief, be simple. Where have you been? What has happened? Blah, blah, blah. People ask you questions. Just give them a clear, brief, simple answer. If you don't know what they really need to know, because you're asking yourself, what do they really need? What can I give them that will be of value? Ask. Don't talk. Ask. Because everything must be beneficial and all has to go back towards your goal. When you organize your life, you can actually draw a chart just like what I drew here. Put your goal at the top, and day by day, you need to organize, how is this playing into my goal? If a person in your life doesn't help you towards your goal, towards your purpose, cut them out of your life. If a person in your life doesn't help you towards your goal, your purpose, cut them out of your life. If a person, if there's a thing in your life that's happening, an event, a hobby, something, it doesn't help you towards your goal or your purpose, cut it out of your life. You have to be able to justify, according to your ultimate goals and your purpose, why there are things in your life or why there are people in your life. That helps you to make better decisions. Should I get a dog right now? Does it play into my purpose? Will it help me to achieve my overall goals in life? Well, I would like to be a flight attendant. Maybe I'll hold off on the dog right now because I want to be able to travel at a moment's notice. Wow, I'm making such good decisions. Whereas if we're just doing this, we go, a dog? A dog is so cute. Oh my God, I had a dog when I was a kid. We don't know how to prioritize. We don't know how to look into our goals. And we make decisions based on our feelings. I don't, sure. Okay. Oh God, I don't know. I shouldn't. I knew I shouldn't. I knew I shouldn't. Then you're on the phone with your trauma survivor. I knew I shouldn't. I should have did that. Should I have done that? No, you shouldn't have done it. But it's too late now because you already did it. So we have to work on the skill of prioritizing according to our actual goal. So everything has to go into what is beneficial for ourselves and others. We need to optimize for beneficiality, optimize for beneficiality. By the way, that's what love is at the core. Love is what is beneficial for yourself and the other person. That's what true love is. And so living your life according to love will allow you to prioritize what will truly be most beneficial. We don't speak, we don't say a word without making sure that it's going to be clear, brief, and simple, without prioritizing what would be the most important of all the things we could say, without making sure it's going to be the benefit of yourself as well as the other persons. Hopefully, this has helped you to be able to organize the strands of the spaghetti brain. I see people in the comments going crazy because so many of you think that I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to everyone. This is not specific to one individual. This is to everyone here because many of us struggle with this. Many of us struggle with this. Not all that I work with struggle with this, but this is a very common one for trauma survivors. So just take the information to heart and start working on in your daily life when you talk to your husband, your kids, your coworkers, whomever. Just work on clear, brief, and simple and right to the point. I got 8 seconds, go to the point until they start to show more interest, right?